So there's recently rumors going around that the Metroid Prime Remaster was allegedly completed about 18 months ago. Got any thoughts on that, Brandon?
A little bit crazy. I didn't get to dive super deep into it, but I can kind of buy what's going around with this article, so let's dive into it.
Yeah, definitely. So, hey, welcome back to Game Junction. I'm Mark with my co-host Brandon.
Hey, what's up, guys?
All right, so Metroid Prime Remastered was originally rated 18 months ago. It's been sitting on this one for a while. It definitely sounds like it for sure. So, as you no doubt know, rumors of Metroid Prime Remastered's existence have been around for years now. The rumors have been flying about almost as long as the Switch itself. Now that the game is finally out and the rumor is confirmed, those same fans have been wondering just how long Nintendo was sitting on the game. While we may never know the definite answer, we do have a little bit of insight. It's been discovered that the German ratings board had listed for Metroid Prime Remastered, but they hadn't been sitting on it. But they have been sitting on it for quite a while. The listing shows that Metroid Prime Remastered was originally rated over 18 months ago. Now, whether Nintendo planned to release this game 18 months back or not is up to speculation, but you'd have to think both the delay of Metroid Prime 4 and COVID led to all sorts of calendar changes, and Metroid Prime Remastered was likely included in that. All that matters now is that the game is finally available. So obviously, kind of short article, but it gets to the heart of the point. It's starting to look like this game has been done or mostly done for quite a while now.
Yeah, it's a little bit wild, but you know what? I kind of buy it. Um, Being that they want to put this along Metroid Prime 4, potentially, or close enough to build hype. There's a lot of reasons they could have been doing this. Obviously, they've got maybe 2 and 3 remastered, or they're finishing them up. I don't know. What's your thoughts? I kind
Uh,
of my thoughts are kind of all over with it.
I guess I could see this being a very real thing because obviously Metroid Prime 4, what, back in like 2019 ish, restarted development, and it was only like
Yep.
a few years in, but obviously that game was originally planned somewhat was in development at that point before it got canned for whatever reason
Yes.
Nintendo didn't like it. So obviously this looks like very it's very believable because obviously since Tropical Freeze came out, Retro Studios hasn't put out anything else since until they got
Right.
the Prime 4 game. So it's very possible by the time Prime 4 came to them and they're in pre-production, these remasters had already long since been in the work, almost done, or had been done by that point. And then it was just a matter. It would make sense that they waited until Prime 4 was within a realistic timeline of coming out, because obviously you're gonna like trickle these games out into the lead up to Prime 4. Would make the most sense to me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I pretty much agree with you there. It's probably what they're going to do. Try to trickle these games out before Prime 4 because it's looking like with having another direct that, I mean, at this point we're in 2023. Prime 4 might not even be coming out until the next system. Like realistically, it seems like that could be the case, and it might be for the better if Prime 4 could look better and perform better on another system, which we know it could, in an upgraded system. Like I'm all for coming out on that system. It makes sense to me. They're trying to trickle these out, maybe having all these on the Switch and then prepping up to the new game on their new console, or it could be coming out like a Switch successor combo sort of deal. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't just stop with this one because obviously, well, the first game they're not might not be that much of a story. There is a story in
There's a
two and
story.
into that leads into three, which we would assume the story would continue. So it makes sense to release these games that are forever stuck on the GameCube and Wii for the most part, if you can still get a
Yeah.
hold of a copy. To people that haven't played these games before, it's like, well, what's the story leading up to Prime 4 in the first place? It makes sense to re-release these
Right.
games. We recently got
Yep.
Dread, which was in development hell for like 15 years. It seems like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it was even longer than that, to be
yeah,
honest with you. Yeah, yeah, I want them to put out 2 and 3. I like 3. I love all 3 games very much. My picks are a little bit weird that my favorite is actually Hunters, which is kind of a spin-off, but it's more so just along the lines of it's in between 1 and 2. So I really hope that they give us that remastered too, and it would make a little bit more sense probably for them to like attach that to one of the games, maybe attach it to 2 since it was came out closer to 2. um yeah, I don't know. I just hope that they give us 2, 3, and obviously I really want Hunters because I love that game. Not many people played it. It's such a great game that just did not get played because it was on handheld, and even 3. Like, I feel like not enough people gave 3 a chance because it had the motion controls required. So like, there's a good game there, and it's definitely different than 1, 2, and even Hunters. Entirely different game. But I want people to know this whole story and get everything, because there's a story with all these. Like, even Metroid Prime Pinball has exclusive story, like cutscenes in that game. It's not even in any of the other 4 games. So I would love to see these games get discovered by a new audience because they're on the Switch or the successor or whatever it is, and brought up to date on a new console to be able to play now.
No, but it makes sense that they're probably going to adapt the mainline games first. Who knows what we would do with the spin-offs. Maybe eventually you'll get them on the Nintendo Switch Online, or eventually get a DS system up, but I'd be somewhat more skeptical on those. They would be nice to have.
Yeah, and I think, I didn't even mention Metroid Prime Federation Force, which has the most story for the entire franchise. So
That's a terrible
we
game.
need that. We gotta have that.
No.
Okay. Mark says no.
I'm putting my foot on the down there. I'm putting my foot down on that one. If I could speak right.
Yeah, I don't know why they. I still don't know why they dubbed the Prime part of Federation Force. Why they couldn't just put like Metroid Federation Force and not like act like it has some story content? Because
It just feels like a game that was in
it
development.
does actually, but not really. Like, not
No, I was gonna say
good.
it feels like a game that was in development. They're like, it's probably not gonna sell well. Let's just throw a Metroid on the title to make it hopefully sell better. It's what it feels like.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff, man. So I do hope they at the very least give us 1 through 3. It would be nice to have some of the other stuff, but again, we don't even know that we're getting 2 and 3. We've not gotten any confirmation. So at the very least, we do need 2 and 3. What their plans are, I don't know, but I do feel like they're probably, with 18 months of the game being done, like probably 2 is already done at this point.
I feel like if
And
they're
like,
gonna give us the first one lead up to 4, it would just make sense that we're gonna get 2 and 3. My only issue would be how are they gonna adapt Prime 3 to
Prime 3.
like a controller, because obviously the game was designed around motion controls.
So
how would you adapt that?
that's my worry, and the reason is because the execution of Skyward Sword HD. I can't stand Skyward Sword HD. I hated the controls got butchered, and the big thing is that they tried to adapt like the dual stick deal to that, but it didn't work. It was terrible controls. Like, the controls were just so bad, and they were designed around the Wii's IR sensor controllers, which are, spot on accurate. Like, you put them at the IR sensor, they're there.
Yeah.
You're moving around, it's working. But gyro controls at the Wii, gyro controls don't work the same. You have to have that at the exact spot. If you move like off the screen, you essentially got to realign that controller every single time you take it on and off screen. So like, with the motion controls and the way they adapted like standard controls for that game were so bad that I am a massive Zelda fan. It's in competition for my favorite series of all time. I have not even beat Skyward Sword HD because it was so bad. So when I got that, I went back and played the regular game again. Much more satisfied with the Wii version. It looked beautiful on the Switch, but that's my concern, that Metroid Prime 3 is a motion sensor controlled game only. So they've got to completely redo those controls, and I actually think it probably won't be as hard as we think it is, because I think they can adapt the setup that they've done for Prime 1 over to that pretty easily. I think it'll be a lot easier than it was with like Skyward Sword HD. It didn't have a new proprietary engine used for it by another company like Retro Studios has. So, and it might be easier behind the scenes. I just hope it turns out better, because like, I love Prime 3. I think the controls still hold up with the Wii for that. I loved it. I love the controls with Trilogy. I went through and beat 1 through 3 again with the motion controls. Like, I was a big fan, but I know some people aren't. Some people didn't like the Wii at all, which, whatever. But yeah, so I just hope they do it right.
Yeah, no, I think they will. It's the, I mean, I don't think the game relies as much on motion controls as like Skyward Sword, which was clearly built for it. The Prime game, it's there, but you could probably manipulate it to not do as much. Obviously, there'd be some level. It'd be the game that would have to get the most work. but
Yeah.
just the controls. But hopefully, having working with the original code, they wouldn't be as big of an issue. But I think that hopefully Nintendo would have learned that this game, the motion controls with the gyro just don't work, and just put a little bit more
They
love and
don't.
effort in just make it a controller. At the very least, give us both options. Don't just force us with the motion controls. But I'm biased. I'm not a big fan of motion controls as is. That's my biggest.
Yeah.
It's the biggest downfall for me of the Wii, going back and
Sure.
trying to play it again. But I mean, that's a
Sure.
personal
I
opinion.
mean, I get it, and really the Wii is the only system it works for me for. But a lot of games, like it was very gimmicky, and I didn't like it either. Like I enjoy most of the games I go back to are games that I can play like a standard controller. Then obviously like virtual console stuff and things like that. But like the Wii Classic Controller Pro, like a lot of people don't even know the Wii had a standard controller to it. Like
Yeah, it
they
did.
have no idea. So I hope that they don't rely and just transfer this to gyro controls if like 3 does come out on the Switch, because like gyro controls work, but the problem is you got to realign it every single time you get it in and off screen. So like it doesn't work, right? For somebody that's going to play 4 hours straight of the game, they're going to be so tired by hour 1 of realigning their controller or their Joy-Con. Like it's just aggravating. So I hope they do this controls right, and it could be the reason that maybe one of the reasons they've been sitting on this for 18 months. Maybe they're like wanting to do 1 through 3 like every 3 months this year or something along those lines. Like who knows
Be a nice lead up
what's
to
going
4.
on. Yeah, maybe they've had the most struggle with 3, so like they wanted to have like a set every 3 months or every 4 months before Prime 4. Who knows? I mean,
I feel like we'll know
it's
more when
it's
the
hard.
next when we get into next quarter, you start getting into the summer months, when the next big direct comes out. I feel like we'll know then whether they're trying to do this trickle stuff out, or at least we'll have an idea. But hopefully we get Prime 2, because I think
Yeah.
Prime 2 is like peak Metroid Prime. I think it's the best gameplay. I think it's just the best overall game. There's a little bit more story there, but I was didn't like the Prime 3 story as much as like the Prime 1 and 2. But I'm biased. Prime 2 is like peak Metroid for me. But I mean, I grew these games growing up, so I'm just a little biased.
I mean, I'm biased too, but it's my third favorite Metroid Prime game. It's always Hunters first, Metroid Prime 3, and then 2. And not that Metroid Prime 1 is bad at all, because none of these games are bad. No, I mean, not even Pinball. Pinball is a great game. But it's my least favorite just because there's so minimal storytelling directly in it. You got to kind of go behind the scenes with scanning everything,
Yeah.
or even like reading some source outside of the game that kind of compiles everything together. So like it's kind of like a Zelda, like a Breath of the Wild deal, where you like kind of got to go out of your way to get the story. So it's still a great game, not a bad game whatsoever, but
Yeah, definitely.
it's probably my least favorite. So
Yeah, fair enough. But hey, let us know what you think down in the comments below. You excited to see more Prime games? You're loving it? You're hating it? You're indifferent? Let us know down in the comment section below. Give us a video a like, give us a sub, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.